The Philadelphia Eagles take on the Los Angeles Rams in another playoff rematch. The Eagles are coming off a win against the Packers, while the Rams clubbed the Vikings in the wild card. Currently, the Eagles are 6-point favorites at most books, and there's a fair amount of snow expected for this game. But let's start this preview looking at the Rams offense. Currently, for the season, they rank 20th in points per game, 15th in yards per game, 16th in yards per play, and 14th in EPA per play. But it has to be noted that we're going to mainly look at the Rams from weeks 8 through 17 on offense, as the Rams dealt with injuries to Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and a lot of their offensive line early in the season, and they rested starters in week 18. So when looking at Matt Stafford in weeks 1 through 7 versus weeks 8 through 17, his yards per attempt increased from 7.0 to 7.4. His completion percentage actually dropped from 66.7 to 65.2, but his passer rating increased from 83.6 to 99.9, mainly due to his touchdown rate going from 1.5% to 5.3%. We also saw his average throw depth increase from 6.8 to 7.7, and saw his sack rate decline from 7.9% to 3.3%, with his pressure rate taking a similar drop. With Puka Nacua back, this offense changes a lot. Puka leads the NFL in targets per route run by a large margin. The difference between Puka and Malik Neighbors in second place was the difference between second and 28th place. With that being said, you would think that the game plan would be to bracket Puka in man coverage or rotate coverage to him in zone, but the problem is the Rams move Puka around so much that it's hard to double team him. Despite only playing 11 games, he leads the NFL in targets when in motion, and that's also indicative of their offense, as they use motion at the second highest rate in the NFL while using the most motion at the snap and the most plays with multiple motions. We'll dive into Puka more in the skill player preview, but you can't talk about the schematics of the Rams offense without mentioning how much Puka is involved. Like what has been a theme in many of the offshoots of the Shanahan-McVay coaching trees, these teams love to use the run to set up the pass, and we see that with the Rams play selection. They're third in percentage of pass attempts that are play action. This offense thrives off the play action pass. Looking again from weeks 8 through 17, on play action passes, the Rams are 4th in passer rating, 10th in yards per attempt, they're 13th in completion percentage, and have the 6th best touchdown rate. On non-play action passes, the Rams are 18th in passer rating, 18th in yards per attempt, 21st in completion percentage, and 17th in touchdown rate. Stopping this play action attack is vital, but it's not easy to do. They do a great job of pairing their play action passes with their run concepts to make everything look the same. They rank 13th in average throw depth on play action passes, so they're not just looking to attack deep with play action. Oftentimes they use it to get easy underneath throws for solid gains. When looking at the Rams play action attack, they try to attack you in two main ways. With a vertical play action attack designed to get the second level to bite up so they can attack the intermediate area behind them, that's often paired off their inside zone weak and duo run game. And the other way is with bootlegs and rollouts that are paired with their outside zone run plays. Those plays are designed to get the defense flowing one way before rolling out the other way. This is when you see them run guys into the flat for easy underneath throws. When you study their offense, you can start to tell from formations which type of play action they're going to use. When you see these extremely condensed sets and these tight alignments when a wide receiver is aligned almost like an offset tight end, you'll often see them fake the run one way and roll out the opposite way. A lot of times you'll see Puka or Kupp running slide routes back across the formation. These plays are often designed to attack the flat defender. Take a look at this play. The Packers flat defender technically is supposed to fit in the C gap. He doesn't chase the run into the C gap, but the run fake causes him to pause and check the gap long enough for the slide route to come back across his face. You'll often see them get a tight end open in the flat as well when they fake like the wide receiver is going to insert block on them, and then the defender bites up preparing to take on the block, and then you have a tight end leaking into the flat. The Rams rely on a lot of condensed sets, but you can tell a difference between sets where they're likely to run these bootleg actions and when they spread the receivers out a little more. That's when you see the vertical play action attack. The defense must be alerted to it and understand that they need to quickly gain depth after realizing it's a play action. It will be crucial for the Eagles to win first down, as that is when most of the play action attempts occur. You can't let the Rams convert first down on first down or get to second and short, because that's where they will kill you. You have to get them to second and third and long and make them a drop back passing team. And this shows up in their third down conversion rates as they're 23rd, but they face the 5th lowest third downs this season, so it's easier said than done. Looking at the run game, Puka and Kupp returning to the lineup didn't have much of an impact in terms of improving the Rams' rushing efficiency. They averaged 4.0 yards per carry from weeks 1 through 7 and 3.9 yards per carry from weeks 8 through 17. Season long, they're 31st in yards per carry carry, 27th in yards before contact per attempt, according to Next Gen Stats, and 17th in yards after contact per attempt. They're also 9th best in stuff rate, so they do stay away from taking a ton of negative plays in the run game. They just don't hit on a ton of explosives. Despite having a poor rushing attack, they're 18th in run rate, as they commit to the run in order to keep defenses honest. And they probably would rank near the top of the league in run rate if they could run the ball better. In 2018, the year they went to the Super Bowl, they were 3rd in yards per carry and 9th in run rate. They lead the NFL in combined total run plays of inside zone and duo, according to Sports Info Solutions, although they still mix in a fair amount of outside zone. They're 3rd in the NFL in percentage of runs between the tackles, and theoretically that bodes well for the Eagles, as the strength of their defense is up the middle, but Kyren Williams averaged 4.5 yards per carry in their Week 12 matchup, with a couple big runs mixed in there. Switching to the defensive side of the ball, for the season, the Rams rank 17th in points per game, 26th in yards per game, 26th in yards per play, and 26th in EPA per play. As we saw in Week 12, the Rams have a really bad run defense. Their 4.6 yards per attempt allowed is 26th in the NFL, and according to Next Gen Stats, they're 21st in yards before contact per attempt, 26th in yards after contact per attempt, and 28th in stuff rate. The biggest issue for their defense is the fact that their back seven consistently struggles with run fits. Christian Roseboom at linebacker in particular is often lost, filling the wrong gap or taking bad pursuit angles. You'll often see him trying to undercut blocks and then getting caught in the traffic. But it's a problem for both of their linebackers. The Eagles had a lot of success in their Week 12 matchup when they started pulling linemen or using split zone action, as they would often get bad fits from the linebackers, which we saw in Saquon Barkley's second 70-yard touchdown run. Or they would pull in a safety as an unblocked defender, and Saquon would make them miss. I would expect to see more gap scheme runs where we saw multiple players pulling, and I'd also expect to see a few plays of quarterback counter bash as well. They're not much better in coverage as well. In terms of yards per attempt, they're 27th, and they're 29th in explosive passes, which are passes of 20 plus yards. They also rank 31st in yards after catch per reception and 26th in missed tackles per reception. Much like their back seven struggles in the run game, their back seven struggles in the pass game, either stopping explosive passes when targeted downfield or pursuing to the ball on passes underneath. Again, we saw this play out in their Week 12 matchup. Saquon had an explosive gain on a screen, and AJ Brown's 6 missed tackles forced was his highest of the season. In terms of coverages used, they're primarily a zone coverage team, running zone coverage at the 5th highest rate in the NFL. That doesn't play into the Eagles' strengths, as Jalen averages 9.6 yards per attempt against man coverage, which is 1st in the NFL, but 7.3 yards per attempt against zone coverage, which is 17th in the NFL. They utilize cover 3 at the 7th highest rate in the NFL and cover 6 at the 4th highest rate. But when they're in cover 3, they're not just lining up in single high. They disguise their coverages at the highest rate in the NFL, and for what it's worth, the Eagles are 2nd. It will be crucial for the Eagles to use formation and motion to help identify the coverage. The Rams did run man coverage at a much higher rate in the wild card against the Vikings, but I don't think that will be the case against the Eagles. That's not how you beat the Birds. I imagine they'll play a lot of zone coverage and very little press to give AJ and Devontae easy one-on-one passes deep down the sideline. I expect the Rams will give up curls, comebacks, and out routes on the outside, and I imagine it will be a methodical attack, but there's still opportunities to create explosives. In the first matchup, we saw a play where the Eagles used a drive concept with AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert, where we see a drag route underneath from Goedert, with AJ running a dig behind it, and on the other side, we see a double post concept. The Rams are in quarters coverage. In short, when in quarters, you will typically see the safeties match the number 2 receiver on anything vertical, with the corners matching the number 1 receivers on anything vertical. Here we see how the inside post removes the safety from the middle of the field and open up a lot of space for the outside post, and Jalen has space to step up in the pocket, but opts to scramble instead of working through the progression. Though this didn't turn into an explosive play, the opportunities are there. Still, as we noted earlier, you don't need to push the ball down the field to generate explosives against this team. They will allow a lot of yards after the catch. In addition to that, they also struggle to stop running quarterbacks from scrambling. They allow 9.1 yards per scramble, which is 27th in the NFL. Josh Allen scrambled for 76 yards in Week 14, Kyler Murray scrambled for 49 yards in Week 2, and Brock Purdy scrambled for 37 yards in Week 3, and Jalen had 22 yards scrambling on 3 attempts in Week 12. So that's an area to watch for as well. The thing keeping the Rams defense afloat for much of the year has been their pressure. Leading into the Week 12 game, the Rams defense was 1st in pressure rate, according to Next Gen Stats, at 41.7%, but they started to come back down to earth. They now rank 10th at 35.6%, and they averaged a 26.6% pressure rate weeks 12 through 17. Although they had a 52% pressure rate in the wild card, but it needs to be noted that the Vikings had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, with a pressure rate allowed that ranked 30th. The Eagles were good in pass pro against the Rams in Week 12 for the most part, with a 34.6% pressure rate allowed, but the Rams' time to pressure of 3.85 seconds was their highest of the season. This will be a key matchup to watch this week. Can the Rams consistently generate pressure? If not, they will struggle in coverage. When we look at the Rams, they don't blitz a lot as they rank 15th in blitz rate according to PFF, but they're 10th in sim pressure rate and 11th in stunt rate. While they're just average or above average in blitz, sim pressure, or stunt rate, because they're balanced, you're never too sure if they're sending a 5 or 6 man pressure, or if they appear to be blitzing and dropping their other defenders into coverage. They will get into some double mug and max pressure looks, sometimes with the sole intent of getting one-on-one opportunities for the pass rushers, other times to force the line to slide away from their stunts, while other times they're trying to get the line to slide one way to overload the other side. Now, the pressure packages do create situations where defensive linemen are asked to drop into coverage frequently, and their commitment to chaos often leads to blown coverages, but communication on the offensive line will be crucial this week, and we'll dive into some of their pressure looks more in the offensive line defensive line preview. In obvious passing situations, I think it'll help to spread the defense out to help identify where the pressure is coming from. The Rams defense faced the 7th highest percentage of pass attempts in empty, and they were 30th in yards per attempt when facing empty. By going empty, it helps to identify the coverage and potential pressure, but it doesn't need to be just empty. Try to get into trips and 2x2 formations where the tight end is detached from the end man on the line of scrimmage. Finally, we need to talk about the weather in this game. We're expecting snow during the game on Sunday, with projections of anywhere from 2 to 6 inches. It's natural to assume that snow will have a big impact on the passing attack, but light snow can actually help out in offense. The pass rush struggles to find its footing, and DBs have a harder time breaking on passes, with offense having the benefit of knowing where they're gonna run. The Patriots' 59-0 blowout of the Titans in 2009 is the best example of this, but very heavy snow, such as the Eagles-Lions snow game in 2013, where the snow is up to your ankles, is a much different story. It'll be interesting to see the field conditions on Sunday, but it looks like it's gearing up for a game where the rushing attacks could take over. And Matt Stafford has a 32-40 record when playing outdoors, both of which are advantage to the Eagles. But that will be it for today's episode, and stay tuned as we dive into the skill players in the next episode.